Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we have an iconic person and an iconic organization that we're going to be chatting with from Mainly Mozart, the founding CEO and artistic director, Nancy Laturno. How you doing, Nancy?
Hey, I'm good. I like being iconic.
You are iconic for 65 different reasons. We're honored to have as my guest co-host, Chloe McNairn. She is a Scottish exchange student, and she's taking classes at San Diego State, journalism and media studies, where I was a student a little while ago.
Yes, so was I.
Yeah. And my daughter went there, so
my son went there.
Oh my goodness! Mm-hmm. See what this is and you just missed earlier today. The President de la Torre was on from San Diego State.
Oh, I wish I could have been here for that.
Yeah, she was. And next time you're on, you can come as early as you want and hear some of the interviews. But Chloe, I'm going to turn it over to you. You have a question for Nancy.
Hey, what is the mission of your organization?
Mainly Mozart's stated mission is to connect classical music lovers with the music, with each other, and with the stories. We do a lot of outreach into the community. Mainly Mozart is the largest Mozart Festival in North America.
What got you into this? Were you a Mozart fan when you were a kid? Was there an epiphany when you got in your teenage years? Or, man, this just hit me like a brick when I was in college? Or when?
I wish I had a really clever story for that. But no, truly, I was raised with politics in my blood. That's all the work I did. I was involved in running political campaigns in my early 20s. Hired, do you know Jim Laszlovic, the San Diego Charger?
I do.
As a San Diego Charger, we became friends. His wife and I became friends. She was the director of marketing at San Diego Symphony. And at age 24, I went over to lead the public relations at the San Diego Symphony with no music background and have stayed in classical music my whole career.
Who was the CEO at the time?
At the San Diego Symphony?
Uh-huh. Were you there when Ward was there? Ward Gill?
Oh, yeah. But I was there long before that.
Right.
Long before that. Robert Boyd and then Wes Brewstad and Dick Bass.
Yeah, I ran community public relations for the Union Tribune for many years, and we sponsored the symphony and so forth. And what a great group, hip to the hop. So that's when you got into it. Okay, why Mozart and why not Beethoven?
Well, David Atherton was the music director of the San Diego Symphony when I was at the San Diego Symphony. And we both left in 1987, a long time ago. And the idea of starting this world-class festival where we brought the best of the best orchestral players to form this all-star orchestra was kind of the bones of the idea. Mozart made sense because of his popularity, he's widely known. The movie Amadeus back then was still hot in people's minds. But Mozart, who only lived 35 years, composed more than 600 works, so hugely prolific, but not only interesting as a composer, he had all kinds of other human interest stories, prodigy, success, failure. But many people today, of course, will never know, believe Mozart was on the autism spectrum. But Mozart's story is interesting, and mainly Mozart likes to explore not only his music, but his story as a person, as a man.
So how well do you connect Mozart with the schools? Are you in the K-12 schools and all? Do they learn about Mozart? Is it more in the community colleges or the four-year schools? Talk about that.
We've done a lot of programs in the elementary schools primarily. We work with colleges, but our closest tie to music education now is our 350-member Mainly Mozart Youth Orchestra. We also do a lot of work and are really committed to neurodivergent populations. So we love working with people on the autism spectrum, both as artists and as audience. And both musicians and as visual artists.
You know, I want to chat with that a little bit about it. We love to have folks that are in that space on our shows, whether it's people living in homes like Noah Holmes or with Terry, all the folks you know, and all that business, or groups that we love to have the folks on the spectrum come on and co-host with me as well. The best. Neuroscience is getting a lot more attention these days, as it should on that. Talk about the connection between music and the brain and neuroscience.
Well, you know, back in 2012, Mainly Mozart started a series called Mozart and the Mind, exploring the music-brain connection, where we looked at the neuroscience of music, the neurotechnology, and the whole clinical side, the therapy side. And we really tried to address areas that affected people's lives. So music is a huge factor in lost intelligence, in aphasia, in our moods. So we brought the top people under neuroscientist Tim Mullen, who was the founding creative director, but from all over the world. And when we would find somebody who, you know, I'd have somebody say, well, so-and-so is the guy, wrote the definitive book about Prodigy, but he's he happened to be in Melbourne. We would call them and say, gosh, we don't really have much budget. And they'd say, no, don't worry. We want to come do this. We want to be part of this conversation. Our university or business, whatever, will pay for it. So we brought together incredible people. That went up until we went into quarantine. So now we continue our work in the autism community, but we're preparing to go back into our work with the neuroscience of music.
No, I think that's fantastic. Do you play music?
And I'm not a musician at all.
Okay. What have you grown to love about Mozart? You've been doing it for a while now. Okay, we get that. So, are you always learning something different about Mozart? With 35 years of sort of an interesting cat, so to speak, and all that, or you know as much as possible about Mozart?
Oh, there is no way I know as much as possible about anything.
Likewise.
And I sort of celebrate all the things I don't know because it causes me to surround myself by really, really smart people. I think my greatest skill has been learning to trust the right people for their guidance, for their connections, for their contacts. And that's kind of how we've built Mainly Mozart all these years, 37 years. There's a ton to know about Mainly Mozart. Our music director, Michael Francis, is also a musicologist, an incredible speaker, an incredible educator. But I learn every day something new about Mozart, about the artist, about the works.
Absolutely. Chloe, you love music?
Yeah.
What type of music?
I kind of like old music, like.
Oh, okay. So you like the classics, or do you like things like Mozart and Beethoven and Bach, or
maybe the classics?
Okay, very, very good. As my good friend and associate producer of the show, Brandon Joe, knows, who is filming us right now and all that business, music is in my DNA. I can't hear enough live music. I can't go to enough live music. And I want you to address this. We have a lot of groups on, theater groups that come on. And while certainly if you have to watch it on video and all that, that's better than nothing. But talk about seeing something live, how different that is.
Okay. I love talking about this. Particularly, all of us in the arts talk about the value of live performance, the value of shared experience, the something could go wrong and often does. That doesn't happen when you're hearing a recording. So the danger of live music. But when COVID came around, everybody went running into the studios, let's stream. And it was survival. So everybody did it the way they knew how to do it and believed to do it. I said from the very beginning, I don't care if it's one guitar and one person, we are committing to live music. So without even knowing,
that's great.
Without even knowing it, Mainly Mozart became the first arts organization in the United States to produce live music for a live audience during COVID. And it was ramshackle. We looked for a place to do it. We didn't know what we were doing. Nobody did. We did it in the dirt parking lot of the Del Mar Fairgrounds in cars that the cars were even socially distanced. The artist had to be socially distanced. The artists wore masks. We learned, members of the LA Philharmonic, and we did that for the next couple of years because COVID just kept staying and the protocols kept shifting.
Right.
But, my thinking was, and I went to my board of directors and said, I guess God willing, will never be a time like this. There's never been a time like this before. God willing, never a time like this in the future.
Right.
When the greatest musicians of the world are sidelined. They're sitting at home. They can't make music. New York Philharmonic, Cleveland, Chicago. We bring those musicians here every June, three from this orchestra and 2 from that orchestra. But the entire New York Philharmonic was sitting. And so we started doing programming that would combine the LA Philharmonic with the San Francisco Symphony. And audiences cried and musicians cried. And a year and a half in, musicians were still sidelined and coming from New York and Washington, D.C., and playing their first public performance here at Mainly Mozart.
Yeah, when we come back from break, Nancy, let's chat more about that. Definitely want to talk about what our listeners can do to support what you're doing. Certainly go to any of these events and festivals and all that, volunteers, contributions, and all that business. So we always ask that question as well. And, and of course, you're such a great, spokesperson. That's an understatement of the world, being the founding CEO. Why should someone be interested in Mainly Mozart? When we return with Nancy Laturno, founding CEO and artistic director for Mainly Mozart, I'm Drew Schlosberg at Cloudcast Media. Listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast. We're in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things for people living in San Diego County, where there's food insecurity, it's Alzheimer's, it's music, arts, and all that business, joined by my very cool guest co-host, Chloe McNairn. She is a Scottish student that is in an exchange program at San Diego State University in journalism, and we will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We have Nancy Laturno, the founding CEO and artistic director for Mainly Mozart, in the house with us, joined by my guest co-host, Chloe McNairn. She is an exchange student from Scotland, taking some journalism classes at San Diego State University. And Chloe has a question for you, Nancy.
I'd love that.
What is it like bringing these top musicians to play together?
Well, it doesn't happen this way anywhere else in North America. We bring the best of the best from the top orchestras. So where a standard symphony orchestra has one concertmaster, one first violinist, sitting at the front, our entire violin section is made up of concertmasters. So they are all bosses when they go back home. When they go back to Chicago and Philadelphia, New York, San Diego, they're the boss. And they might be sitting in the back of the seconds. And some of them choose to. So it's a very interesting dynamic. it's also one of the reasons that these musicians who play in orchestras all year choose to come play orchestra during the summer. That's unusual. Most orchestral players want to go play chamber music or do different kind of projects during the summer. They come here because of the incredible level of music making and the opportunity to play with one another. It doesn't happen. They will have all heard of each other. I had one time the principal horn of the Dallas Symphony who said, I do concerti with my orchestra all the time. But he said, I've never been so nervous as to stand up in front of this orchestra of my peers and see at the time, his comment was, the concertmaster of the Canadian Opera Orchestra sitting in the back of the second violins, almost in the back of the stage, and the entire orchestra being that. You see a lot of nervousness when new concertmasters, new musicians come, just because of the all-star quality of this incredible orchestra.
You brought up this earlier. Talk about the youth orchestra.
Well, in 2013, Mainly Mozart merged with the Young Artists Symphony. And we, in these 12, going on 13 years, have been building this incredible 350-member youth orchestra comprised of 7 different ensembles. So they come in very young, their Suzuki program, all the way up to advanced orchestra. They have access to not only incredible teaching staff here and amazing performance opportunities. We do a lot of outreach with our youth orchestra, a lot of public performance, but they also have access to these all-star orchestras, not only the performances, but master classes taught by concertmaster of the LA Philharmonic, concertmaster of the Philadelphia Orchestra. So taking our youth orchestra out into the community is very important. Also, making youth education accessible to neurodivergent youth has been important. And we're working with some of the groups you mentioned, Terry, San Diego Center for Children, sure. Stein Center, to augment their music programs with our artists.
Right, absolutely. Chloe has another question for you as well.
What would you say the most significant challenges are that you face with the organization?
Well, I think my answer is probably pretty predictable, especially in this environment. It is a very uncertain funding environment. And as with most nonprofit music organizations, performing organizations, only 25% of our income comes through ticket sales.
Right.
The other 75% is through donations. And right now, significant government cuts and uncertainty among individual donors, because most of our money comes from, well, those two sources, really. So I think just the uncertainty of the times and the challenge that exists for any nonprofit of always looking for strong funding sources, but it's different right this very minute.
Which really is the big focus of, especially when it comes to the arts. There are other areas as well that have been impacted. What's been going on 3,000 miles from here, which means everyone needs to sit there and tighten up and focus on this. This is not the time to abandon the arts. No. This is the exact opposite, what you should be doing, and stretch. And you may have to stretch, but it's going to be worth it. This too will pass.
Yes.
And they can't pass fast enough. That's all I'll say in this area. But it's time to step up. It's not time to step down. How are you doing it? How's the outreach going?
Well, it was sort of interesting because with, nonprofits take months and months, years planning fundraising campaigns. We decided on a Sunday to launch $1.5 million fundraising campaign and announced it from the stage 2 days later, not knowing exactly what we were talking about. Jack McGrory and Chris Wheel stood on our stage every night.
Those are good fundraisers.
They're pretty good fundraisers, which is the reason that in the first month we hit our $1 million. The 6 weeks we hit our $1 million. We are still, we've announced an extension of that, another $500,000. Those are that's stability, certainly allowing us to have a strong development function, department, be debt-free, and be prepared for the shortfalls that not only we know are coming, but have already come.
Right. So what do you tell people that don't know Mozart from Beethoven, from Bach to Bruce Springsteen, why they should be involved with Mainly Mozart?
Well, I think it doesn't matter. I think when you're sitting in the audience and something extraordinary happens, everyone gets extraordinary. Whether it's Mozart, whether it's Beethoven, whether it is Alicia Keys. Genius is genius. And Mainly Mozart also has programs that just celebrate genius, in the spirit of Mozart without regard to genre. That's very important. And sometimes genius is in the kitchen. Sometimes it's in wine, and we do those explorations as well. So I think anybody who comes and sits once in our audience will get it.
So you've studied Mozart, you know about Mozart, and you said there's always something to learn about Mozart.
Sure.
But when you were first getting into this, what surprised you most about Mozart that you had no idea?
I think maybe his quirkiness. I mean, the fact that he died at 35, the fact, there are things that a lot of people know, that he was composing at age 5, that his first symphony at age 8, first published work at age 7, first full opera at age 12. So we all know Mozart was prolific. But I think I didn't really know about some of his setbacks, death of children, romantic setbacks, business setbacks, for sure. He was the first musical entrepreneur, not because he was so clever. Well, of course he was a huge genius, but out of necessity, survival.
Right, exactly. Well, what can we do to support your organization? Volunteer, donate, you name it. What can we do?
All of the above. Our wine pairing series at Fairbanks Ranch Country Club starts up again in November, and it runs through April. We have Club Amadeus, a private group. We have our youth orchestra that always needs support, our youth orchestra fundraisers, and of course the June Festival. Sign up now, participate, call us, tell us how you want to be involved, whether it is as an attendee. We do not let ticket price or tuition price exclude anybody from this experience. We're very committed to that. Let us know how you want to be involved. From start to finish, there's a room for you.
What's the website?
www, I still have to say that, mainlymozart.org.
That sounds good. Nancy Laturno, what an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Promise you'll make a return appearance. Why don't you bring in someone, if it works out, from the youth orchestra, or bring in somebody else that has benefited from Mainly Mozart, and we'll just continue to keep this conversation. And we want to elevate how important it is to support the arts now. This is not the time to back away.
We'll come as often as we're invited.
You're invited as many times as you'd like to be here. Nancy Laturno, founding CEO and artistic director for Mainly Mozart. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. Listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast, just entering our 20th year, brought to you by the fine folks at Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things for people living in San Diego County. And Chloe McNairn, another wonderful job of co-hosting. I appreciate it. Our Scottish exchange student taking classes at San Diego State University in journalism. And to our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.